Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is JDavis, and we continue to stream stories of entrepreneurship and how people are dealing with this extremely chaotic and ever-changing economy. Every week, we like to check in with Mark Furman, director and shareholder at Tarlow, Hart Rodgers. The segment is Entrepreneurship and the Law. Welcome back, Mark.
Hello, Jeffrey. How you doing today?
2 feet on the ground. Couldn't be better.
Great.
So, Mark, what's our subject today?
So I thought maybe we talk about family business transitions and the challenges of, as the business transitions from the older generation to the next generation in line.
Well, your firm and my firm were two of the founders of the Family Business Association, so I always love those topics. And I have the FBA logo above my head. And, it's a problem for a lot of families because people don't want to run the business the way dad ran it. So,
well, that's true. Every generation is different, and the times they are changing, as somebody once said. And the new generation, the younger generation, has their own ideas as to how to run the business. But a lot of first generation businesses, there weren't any policies or procedures. It was, the owner just decided how things were going to work on a day-to-day basis. And as, the younger generation gets involved, they certainly want to implement some policies, but it does create some challenges, and among the issues are, how do you deal with employees? How do you deal with employees who are family members? Are you going to have reviews? And how do you review family members? And, when you have a business that also involves family members, it's quite tricky. It's a very different dynamic than businesses that I've worked with that are not family businesses, because it's just business. But when you have a family business, it's a business, but it's also the family relationships. And that creates, I think, unique challenges and great difficulties. What if you have an underperforming family member in the business? And how do you deal with that?
Well, I think that's a can of worms, because it's true that if brothers or sisters entered a business under dad or mom and they didn't have a job description, and now mom and dad are transitioning out, and then there's a new generation running the business, and they now want job descriptions and formal reviews. It's appropriate for a business, but again, it goes against the habits and the family style. And there is a cultural clash that can go on within a family that does that. I understand why families want to do it. I mean, business is tough nowadays and they want everyone to perform. But if you're going to do that with your siblings as executives, that also goes both ways, correct? The CEO too has to have a job description and performance review.
Yes, and it can touch a nerve, as you know, Jeffrey. Constructive criticism, goals for the coming year. Those are all things that are routine in private businesses. But when you start critiquing family members about, this is what you're doing well and this is where you need to improve, when you have the CEO also being reviewed, I mean, it creates, sometimes a double standard people prefer, and but what's good for the goose is good for the gander too. So as family businesses want to become more successful and be more business-like, I won't say you have to take the family out of the business, but you have to be able to talk about subjects that maybe were taboo when the founder was in control, and to be successful, if you're going to do that, people have to not personalize things and take it as, it's just, it's easy to personalize criticism.
It's more common for me to see families that don't have job descriptions. And
Right.
It does create problems in terms of expectations and the looseness of expectations. And when you're trying to run a business, creating expectations, but it has to be across the board, not just for for the family members. It has to be for all senior members. And does that relate to signing any kind? I know the whole concept of non-compete seemed to be going out the door, but what about non-solicitations? If you're going to be doing reviews every year with people, family members leave businesses too at times. I see that a lot. If you're going to be doing a job review, you need to do it every year, a performance review every year. Can you also include non-solicitations with that whole package?
Yes, non-solicitation of employees, non-solicitation of customers.
Right.
Businesses should have those agreements if they have those concerns. And, when you have these agreements, there's got to be what the law calls consideration. I offer you a job, and in return, you have to sign a non-solicitation or a trade secret agreement to keep the business trade secrets confidential. But if you don't have them, which many family businesses don't, in connection with job promotions, raises, you can have folks enter into those, and you should. There's a new non-compete law in Massachusetts, and non-competes are challenging now for businesses, and it's actually not that new, but we deal with non-solicitation agreements all the time, trade secret agreements, and I prefer that people not use forms they get off the internet, because they typically are entitled non-compete agreements. You want to have non-solicitation agreements and non-disclosure agreements, as opposed to emphasizing the non-competition aspect. But, look, protecting customers, protecting, if a departing employee who may be a family member from raiding the company, raiding the customers is critically important. That's an important piece of legal hygiene, I'd call it, because family conflict can lead to destruction of business, or at least people leaving the business with quite hurt feelings, because it's not just business, it's the family, it's the emotion that comes with being a part of the family. And so the feelings of betrayal or being stabbed in the back, I think, can be heightened when it's a family situation. And dealing with underperforming employees is one of the great challenges for all businesses. But I do think the family component just makes it that much greater a challenge, because people may have been coasting along with no real job description, and the businesses work fine. But where we're at right now, with all of the challenges businesses have, increased costs of goods, inflation, the cost of money going up, the inventory shortages from supply chain type issues. I mean, there are real challenges. It wouldn't take a lot to flip the country into a recession. And, so as a client used to like to say to me, there's the 3 rules of business: survive, and don't forget the first 2 rules. I mean, businesses could face real challenges if the economy turns. Despite your youthful appearance, Jeff, you're old enough to have been through some downturns in the economy, and you've seen what it's like, and you've seen how it impacts family businesses as well as non-family businesses. And, we've gone through a period, since the '08 crisis, some good economic times, but they never last forever. The economy has survived COVID. A lot of companies got PPP money, which certainly helped them. And but now you've got rising costs, shortages of inventory, all sorts of challenges, rising labor costs. It's a lot.
And rising supply and demand, rising labor, and not a lot of supply.
Correct.
Well, in summary, Mark, running your business means running your business, having job descriptions, performance reviews, non-solicitations. And as you do them annually at the same date, you can renew them and have all these things signed again every year. Don't leave this non-solicitation to only be signed once. Do it every year with the performance review, renew everything, and make sure that the employee understands their rules as their job changes. We've been speaking with Mark Furman, Director, Shareholder at Tarlow, Hart Rodgers, about entrepreneurship and the law. Mark, if someone's looking for you, how would they find you?
I can be reached either by email, mfurman, Furman, at tbhr-law.com, or at 617-218-2025.
Thank you very much. And for all our listeners who have been watching Mark Furman on all our social media connections, he will be back next week on Radio Entrepreneurs.